Welcome to Capital Dateline Online. I'm talking with our guest, Jim Saunders, Executive Editor of the News Service of Florida. Jim, it's hot summer in Florida, and that means mosquitoes, and mosquitoes evidently now mean Zika. We've got 4 cases at least we know so far in Miami that are not travel related. What's going on?
Well, I think everybody expected that this was going to come eventually, but it's also what the public health officials have been worried about for months, is that mosquitoes in Florida in the summertime would start to spread the Zika virus. I mean, obviously this has been going on for a year in South America, Central America, areas like Puerto Rico, but there's been warnings for months that it was going to start spreading by mosquitoes in the United States, in Florida, Louisiana, Texas, those types of places. And on Friday, Governor Scott announced that indeed there were 4 cases spread by mosquitoes in one area of Miami. So they're trying to take all sorts of steps to try to knock down the mosquito population in that area, to try to protect people. But I think the expectation is there's going to be more in Florida. You know, this disease has just terrible effects. Yes. It's particularly dangerous to pregnant women, but the end result can be severe birth defects for
hydrocephaly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it can cause small, undeveloped skulls, neurological damage. I mean, children who are born with this may need lifelong care. It's a terrible disease, and as you indicated, there have been upwards of 400 cases in Florida that were travel related. Right. You know, people traveled to South America or Central America or Puerto Rico, acquired the disease at that point, and then brought it back to the United States. But there's been worries, as I said, all along that the mosquitoes in the United States actually would start spreading it, and that looks like where we're at.
And we're also hoping, or we were hoping, for some $1.9 billion to come from the Obama administration for Zika for Florida, and that hasn't happened.
Well, this is the other thing that I think has been frustrating to a lot of people, is that there's been squabbling going on in Congress for weeks and months now about Zika funding. As you indicated, the Obama administration requested $1.9 billion some time ago because they saw this threat coming. There have been other proposals out there. I think one of them was for $1.1 billion, but Congress went home for their summer break without doing anything. You know, there's been a lot of push by Florida members of Congress and the U.S. Senate to get Zika funding, but in all the partisan sausage making in Washington, they couldn't get a deal. And so, you know, they're home, they're out campaigning, not only in Florida, but in other states. And meanwhile, this funding has not come to Florida. It's got a lot of people frustrated because, as I said, I think everybody saw this coming someday. I mean, we're in Florida in the summertime. Right. Mosquito, it's why we have mosquito control districts. I mean, there are a lot of mosquitoes. So people knew it was coming to Florida, and they also think it's coming to other states. So it's not just a Florida issue.
And Florida is not just breeding mosquitoes this time of year, but coming out of the Democratic National Convention, we're having a bunch of breeding of new offices for politicians.
I'm not really sure they'd like to be compared to mosquitoes,
no, of course that's not what I meant.
But yeah, I mean, at the Democratic convention last week, and really at the Republican convention the prior week, right, everybody's looking at 2018 already. Mm-hmm. You know, we're still not through the 2016 elections yet. We've got a few months more to go of that. But there's a lot of maneuvering and sort of putting down markers, if you will, for the 2018 elections. I mean, at the Democratic convention last week, we saw Gwen Graham, who's probably going to run for governor in 2018. Right. Mm-hmm. Philip Levine, who's the Miami Beach mayor, who has been making noise about running for governor in 2018. Bob Buckhorn, the Tampa mayor, who has been widely speculated as a potential 2018 governor's race. There's others. Andrew Gillum, the Tallahassee mayor, who is very well thought of amongst the Democratic establishment, kind of a young and up-and-comer. He got a prominent role at the convention. You know, in the week before that, on the Republican side, I mean, Adam Putnam was putting on breakfast. Everybody thinks Adam Putnam's running for governor. I mean, there's no doubt about that, I think, unless something totally unexpected happens. And, you know, there are others. For instance, Steve Crisafulli, the outgoing House Speaker, pretty much acknowledged that he's seriously looking at running for Agriculture Commissioner in 2018. So while we're not through the 2016 elections, everybody's kind of looking forward already 2 years out, because there's some big offices out there. That doesn't even go to Governor Scott, who most people expect is looking at a possible U.S. Senate race in 2018. There are some who think he might run for president in 2020. Now, he's not, you know, confirming anything, but I think everybody thinks that when he leaves the governor's office in 2018, that might not be his last political foray, if you will.
Thanks, Jim. For more news about Florida politics, government, and public affairs, visit the Advances section of our website and keep coming back to CapitolDatelineOnline.com for more postings. Capital Dateline Online is brought to you by the Florida Cable Telecommunications Association.